All right, everybody, welcome back to the Lantern TV Sports Basketball Show. It's been a little while since you've seen us. We had a few shows recorded over break, didn't go out because of COVID, but we're back now, right? They had 3 games against Nebraska, a win, Indiana, a loss, tough loss in the Big Ten against Indiana, and then a win against Northwestern. They have 3 games coming up they were going to preview. Casey, though, been a little while. We have 3 games to talk about and then 3 games to go over for the upcoming. What did you see from those last 3 games, especially coming off that COVID hiatus? How do you think they performed given the challenges that were presented in December?
Ohio State, they scored against Northwestern the most points in a game since 2019 against Penn State, one of their upcoming opponents, where they scored 106 in that game. They put up 95 against Northwestern, and E.J. Liddell was playing with his hair on fire. He said he watched Steph Curry and how he was going through a little bit of a slump and took a little inspiration from that. And he comes out in the first 5 minutes, puts up 17 points, Kevin. It's 17 of Ohio State's 19, and it was uphill from there. He scored a career-high 34 points on just a night to remember for him. Ohio State, they come away with a 95-87 victory over Northwestern Wildcats, and they're sort of starting to regain a little bit of that momentum that they carried into the 22-day COVID hiatus. This past Sunday, they were without Chris Holtmann and Ryan Peden. So Jake Diebler, he stepped up and he came away with a crucial first head coaching victory.
Really impressive.
Yeah, listening to him talk in the post-game press conference, he was very, very appreciative of the help that all the coaches gave him, with Tony Skinn and Mike Nettie as well on the bench alongside him. But he was the guy, he was able to make substitutions and make the right calls to come away with the victory. So Ohio State, they're starting to get their conditioning level back and ahead of this Big Ten gauntlet that they're facing in these next 3 games.
Yeah, that's something they mentioned that they needed to work on, I think, after the Indiana game, was that it had been so long since they played in a game that they really were focusing on conditioning. They had a Northwestern game, and then they came out and they played well, so obviously taking care of what they need to take care of. And also, I think it was E.J. Liddell who alluded to the fact that a lot of the veteran players kind of stepped up when, Peden and Holtmann were out and said, look, we've got an assistant coach here coaching for his first time ever. This is something where us as veterans, guys who have been on the team a while, need to step up and be leaders for the young guys on the team, and that was evident. I mean, they played pretty coherently and pretty well, and I don't think if you're watching the game, you had no idea Chris Holtmann wasn't on the court, you really wouldn't have an idea, because sometimes in those situations, teams collapse, they don't know how to respond when you're losing your head coach in those situations, but they played well. So now they have some tough games coming up. They do play a few Big Ten games, beginning with Wisconsin on Thursday, January 13th. That'll be in Madison, and then they go to, and then they're here against Penn State, and then here against a recently scheduled IUPUI 1-12, so that'll be an interesting game in the mix there of some of these Big Ten conference games. But let's start with that game against Wisconsin. We already saw this game already at the shot. Ohio State got the best of the Badgers the first time around. Johnny Davis versus E.J. Liddell was a storyline. They're going to get another chance to go at it. Who do you think gets the better of that one in Madison this time around?
Going to the Kohl Center, watching Ohio State throughout the years, it's one of the toughest environments in the Big Ten. Wisconsin, they always have a good following, good home crowd, one of the best attendance marks in the Big Ten. And since that last loss against Ohio State, December 11th, 2021, we're now in the new year. Wisconsin, they're on a 5-game winning streak, but they've only won by an average margin of 4.4 points per game. And they've been led at the top by none other than Johnny Davis. He is the guy that led them against Ohio State when they came here to Columbus. He was one of the smoothest players I've seen. I mean, we saw Paolo Banchero and Wendell Moore come through here when Duke came through, but Johnny Davis was the #1 player that I've seen Ohio State play against. He's 4th in the Ken Pomeroy Player of the Year. Big fan of Ken Pom. He's 4th in his Player of the Year standings. E.J. Liddell leads that, by the way. But Johnny Davis, he scored 24 points against Ohio State in their last meeting. And in the 3 games since that game, he scored 37, 26, and 19, averaging 22.5 a game. So with Brad Davidson and Tyler Wall giving him a little bit of support, I think Johnny Davis is primed for obviously another double-digit game, which he scored in every single game this season. But with that 4.4 point average margin of victory, that's including home and away games, I think Ohio State, you alluded to the veterans stepping up in practice, especially without Holtmann and Ryan Peden there. They're going to be back for this game, those two. So I think the veteran players, one guy to watch for is Jamari Wheeler. I'm really going to be excited to see how he plays man-to-man, on-ball defense. I think it'll be a battle. I think it'll come down to maybe the last possession in that game.
Yeah, it should be an exciting one. And then just a few days after, on Sunday, January 16th, they play a Penn State team again, the team they've already played. Got the best of them that time, 76-64. It was kind of a close game, though, throughout. And Penn State's going to play competitive. They did it last year as well. They're going to do it again this year. But E.J. Liddell, you mentioned him. KenPom, #1 right now in potential player of the year award voting. Again, career high, 34 points. He hit 5 threes in a matter of 5 minutes and like 34 seconds, and he was doing this. He couldn't believe how hot he was because he's never shot like that before. And going back to that Wisconsin game too, just Johnny Davis and E.J. Liddell, the question I have for you is, both these guys are front runners or top 5 in that conversation for player of the year, and we'll go Big Ten here. Who do you think has the better shot in Big Ten player of the year among the two, and does this game mean a lot as far as who wins it because it's a head-to-head matchup between the two?
I think my edge goes to E.J. Liddell just because of the well-roundedness he has. He's leading the conference in blocks per game with 3.1. He had an amazing 8-block game against Xavier earlier this year, and he can also get it done on the scoring end as well. He had the 34-point game, against Northwestern. Johnny Davis had the 37-point game. So I think Johnny Davis a little bit is more so scoring oriented. He's sort of that #1 option for the Wisconsin Badgers offense, but I think E.J. Liddell, with his well-roundedness, being able to protect the rim, go up, get some boards, in addition to leading Ohio State's offense in the scoring column, I think he gets the slight edge in that regard. And I think going back to what you were saying with E.J. Liddell versus Johnny Davis, I think it'll be sort of a dogfight, and I think that'll play a little bit of a role in who gets sort of that nod down the stretch in the Player of the Year conversation.
Yeah, it's a marquee matchup. One of the reasons it's on ESPN2. You can catch it on Thursday, January 13th, 7 o'clock in Madison. And then again, Sunday, January 16th at the Shot, Penn State. And then after that, IUPUI, again, throwing in there. Do you have anything to say about them?
Penn State, Micah Shrewsbury has them playing great basketball.
Okay.
I watched the last 6 minutes of that Penn State-Purdue game, and they were in it. Mm-hmm. They were in it till the end. Don't let the score fool you. Even though it was a 7-point loss, they were right there toe-to-toe with the #3 team in the country. Jalen Pickett had 21 in that game, making up for the loss that Seth Lundy didn't provide offensively. He had 0 points in the first half, but he came up clutch when needed. When the score was within 5 points, he hit 2 crucial threes for them, scoring 8 points in the last 6 minutes of that game. And as for IUPUI, Kevin, do you know what Spalding University is?
Spalding University?
Yeah.
Like the basketball? No, I don't know what Spalding University is. Are they who beat IUPUI?
They're the only team to lose to IUPUI.
Oh, the only team to lose to them.
Yep. So, Division III private Roman Catholic University in Louisville with 874 students. They're the only victory for IUPUI this season, as they are 1-12. They are dead last in Division I basketball in Ken Pomeroy's adjusted offensive efficiency and turnover percentage. The only contribution they're really sort of getting on the offensive end is from 6'5" guard B.J. Maxwell. He's the only Jaguar averaging double figures with 10.4 points per game. He also leads the team in rebounds with 4.9 per game. So I think Ohio State, they're going to be able to gather IUPUI's misses. They're only shooting, I think, 38% from the field. So Ohio State will have a crucial advantage, especially gathering some of those misses. And I think with the Jaguars' inability to rebound the ball well, I think Ohio State will really take advantage of that. I expect sort of a laugher here at the Shot and Scene Center next week.
If they lost to IUPUI, would it be of the same magnitude or more than a 1 seed, 16 seed loss in the tournament?
It's worse because IUPUI wouldn't be in the tournament.
Yeah, I guess.
UMBC, they won their conference, so they got that auto bid to March Madness. And hey, anything can happen in March. You saw that last year with Ohio State losing to Oral Roberts. Anything can happen as long as you're one of those 64.
Don't take IUPUI for granted.
Yeah, they are 358 in Division I basketball. They are not one of those 64. So it would be worse than a 16 beating a 1.
Well, it'll be interesting to see nonetheless. It'll be Buckeye basketball on Tuesday, January 18th. Those 3 games coming up big for Ohio State. That'll do it for myself, Kevin Lapka, Casey Smith. We'll see you next week covering those 3 games and more for Lantern TV Sports Basketball Show. We'll see you next time. Take care.